Good evening, Rob. How are you? I can't hear you. No, okay. No,
Want some more of anything?
okay.
Do you want anything? Do you want the chocolate or
I don't want.
cake? Or... How was your sugar?
7.7.
Is that good?
This is not good.
Huh?
See, Les is there.
What do you know?
He's not. Rabbi, we can't hear you.
Ja, toch?
Okay, now you can obviously hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, we can.
perfect.
Sorry, for some reason, I think that was connection with voice. I needed to restart it. How are you all? Shavua Tov to everyone.
Shavua Tov.
You can't hear.
Tonight we're going to speak about like I explained on last Sunday, what's hiding behind the candles of the menorah. That's mean the special light in a menorah, and I'll explain about it a bit. I'll do history about it.
One of those, I love you.
And then I'll move on to the next part. That's going to speak about something very interesting. Where's Hilton? I see Hilton that joined us, but I don't see him with us. And I see Dr. Les, and he's not with us online for some reason, because I readmitted him, but I can't see them. I don't know where they are. Okay. So before we start with the show, we'll give another minute or two for some people to join, and then Be'ezrat Hashem will start the show. And then we explain how we can reach to that special hidden light that there is in the menorah. We'll explain what is the hidden light. And then I would like to bring a true story that happened in Eretz Israel, and a true story that happened with the Holocaust survivor regarding the power of lighting Chanukah candle. What's hiding behind it, and where it can get. Erev Tov, Hilton, how are you? Okay. I think Dr. Les is going to join us now any minute. Yeah, Dr. Les is with us. He also joining us. Dr. Les, how are you? Erev Tov, Dr. Les, can you hear me?
Hello, Rav, how are you?
Baruch Hashem, we waited for you to give us the update, and then we'll start the show.
Okay.
Bechavod, Dr. Les.
Okay. So I'm here in Modi'in with my daughter and my son-in-law and our grandson. And it's
that's
amazing.
very nice.
It's wonderful, but I wouldn't miss your shir, Rav. So, unfortunately, because of the situation in the war, we really feel that the simcha of Chanukah, it's diminished a lot, unfortunately. There's still Asif Ganiot and people, Chabad have been incredible, but you see the mood of the people, it's very hard to see.
Hey? What do you say? Yeah, I've got mine in.
You put on the alarm?
Yes.
Dr. Les, just unmute yourself. Dr. Les, please unmute yourself.
Okay. Rav, okay. Is this better?
Yeah, much better.
Okay.
Now we can hear you.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so the mood here in Israel over Chanukah, it's the first time I've been here. It's going on for 29 years. And it's always been very, very festive, and people feel the joy of Chanukah. This year, it's very different. The mood is very subdued. And although there are sufganiyot and beautiful sufganiyot, and people are trying their best, but there's a pain because we hear every day of soldiers that unfortunately, that are falling. And but we're trying our best because we do believe, and we must always believe that Hashem runs the world, and Chanukah is it's the festival of miracles. And Bezrat Hashem, we'll see the biggest miracle over this Chanukah, and we are seeing tremendous miracles. Rav, today I heard from patients, so many people that were disconnected from Yiddishkeit are finding their roots and are coming back. And I saw something unbelievable. I don't know if it's been publicized in South Africa, but they had from Congress, they had the heads of the three main Ivy League universities of Harvard, MIT, and Penn. And the woman, Stefana, she's not Jewish. She asked these heads, all three ladies who are heads of these universities, prestigious Ivy League universities, is genocide against Jews, does that go against your university? And you know what? They said, it depends on the context. And she said, but like, what do you mean? Genocide against Jews? Isn't that hate speech? Doesn't that go against the values of your university? And they couldn't agree. They couldn't say yes. So there was tremendous, it was like unbelievable. You should watch the videos of that. It was incredible. And the backlash has been amazing. People have withdrawn millions of funds from these three Ivy League universities where Jewish students have felt very intimidated and very unsafe. And the head of Penn University, McGill, she actually resigned. She apologized, and you can see it was like she apologized. I think she had to apologize. But you see people who are heads of like the most prestigious universities in the world not agreeing that genocide against Jews is like hate speech and against the values of the university. They try to say it depends on its context. So I've been watching a lot of the different news outlets, and everybody's been unanimous in the condemnation of these three, the deans of these most prestigious universities. And one woman on, I think it was CNBC, she said, you know, I'm going to tell all our listeners, I'm Jewish. And I went with my daughter to shul for the first time in many years because I can feel the anti-Semitism, and I can feel, and said, I've become reconnected to my Jewish roots. And Rav, that's what we're finding in Israel. So many people are becoming reconnected to their Jewish roots. So it was so sad that we had to go through this terrible tragedy on the 7th, on that Simchas Torah, but we feel that Am Yisrael is really united and people are getting back to their Jewish roots. So that's also a miracle. And we are in the Chanukah, which is the greatest miracle. And Bezrat Hashem, we'll see more miracles.
Bezrat Hashem, thank you.
Yeah, but Rob also is one Jewish gentleman in America has donated $100 million, and he's taking it back.
That was for Penn University. That was actually for Penn University. But correct. I must tell you something that Fox News actually reported, that these prestigious Ivy League universities get billions from the Arab world, from Qatar, from Saudi Arabia. They are getting millions upon millions. So they said it's actually even a drop in the ocean compared to what they're getting from Arab countries. And you know, I just want to mention the last thing, Rob. If somebody would have said genocide against blacks or genocide against LGBs, wow, they would be like ostracized. But because it was against Jews, it was like, okay, it depends on its context. And I think people have woken up. People who saw that and I've been watching all the different news outlets, they've condemned. It's outrageous. And all three, you know, they've apologized. They said, how could we have said what we said? Why didn't we apologize? But they have apologized a little bit too late. But people are realizing that these universities are not a safe place for Yidden anymore.
No. Definitely. Okay, let's start the show. Rabotai, thank you, Dr. Les, for all the update as usual. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. Okay, so let's start with the show, and Be'ezrat Hashem, na'aseh v'natzliach, ve'Hashem alenu berachamav yarviach. I would like to dedicate the show in the soul of Esther Kaden Bat Ketzia, מרדכי בן רחמה, הרב אברהם חיים בן אליעזר יעקב, תמר בת זהבה, יעקב סלומון בן פרחה, דבורה רות בת בילה, שושה בלימה בת מרדכי בצלאל, מלכה בת רג'ינה, מלכה רג'ינה בת ג'ויה, קטי גורג'יה בת פרחה, נשמתם תהיה צרורה בצור החיים, also in a health of מנשה נג'י בן פרחה, ליאורה בת מרים, הרב משה בן דבורה, הרב אברהם בן מרינה, הרב שלמה יהודה בן דליה, דבורה בת אסתר, שיינה קהילה בת חנה, מרדכי דוד בן לאה, חיים נחום בן פסע רזה הכהן, אהובה קדן בת טלי אסתר, ברוך בן שרה חיינה, שמואל מאיר בן שושה בלימה, חיה ציפורה בת רחל, איילה עדן בת רבקה, לאה בת רחל, טובה ליבה בת רחל, שרה בת פנינה, וישוע חיים בן חיים לאה. Please God, רפואה שלמה to all of them, and כל חולה ופצועי עמו ישראל בכל מקום שהם, all the injured people all over the world. One of the main things that we do in Hanukkah, as you all know, is lighting the menorah. And the reason for it, as we explained in previous showing, is to publicize the miracle that the Almighty done to the Jewish people during the time of the Hashmonaim, that when the great kingdom that called, or the great empire that called Greece was in control of all the world for 180 years, 180 years. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually make miracle that in 3 years of the war, those little army, or not even an army, was an army that managed to defeat and chase the Greek from the land of Eretz Israel. But there is one thing that not many of us, and I didn't know it for many years, and I would like to share it with you. We all think that the Hashmonaim, when they enter Bet HaMikdash, we know that the Greek contaminated a lot of vessels. They contaminated also the altar. But there's one thing or two things that I would like to put, first of all, history and to explain that for us to understand. That when the Hashmonaim enter Bet HaMikdash, when they light the menorah, they didn't light the golden menorah. Because in Bet HaMikdash was a golden menorah. And when the Hashmonaim enter Bet HaMikdash, they didn't light the golden menorah. The golden menorah wasn't in Bet HaMikdash. And they light a menorah that they made from wood, a wooden menorah. Rabotai, not many people know it. It took him a while until they managed to recoup financially, because the Greek make them very poor. They took all their money with a tax that they taxed the Jewish people in Eretz Israel. It took him a while, and then they made a menorah, a special golden menorah that was in a time of Moshe Rabbeinu. But the first question that we have to answer, where is that menorah suddenly disappear? Was a menorah in Bet HaMikdash. Where it suddenly disappear? Nowhere it's tell us, only in the Midrashim. And we have to understand what happened with that. So, but before we answer that, I would like to make a bit of an introduction for us to understand the history behind all of it. So when the Greek was in control of all the world, obviously they was in control of Eretz Israel, they took over Bet HaMikdash. They just took it over and then turned it to one of their places that they used to sacrifice on the altar, okay? Non-kosher animal, trefot venevelot, I don't want to say other animal, and they make the altar unpure. Not only that, many of the vessels that was outside of Bet HaMikdash, that's mean in a Hatzer, not necessarily inside the Chal, okay, they contaminated. They contaminated most of the vessel. And one of the things that they also contaminated, it was the altar, like we say. When the Hashmonaim got into Bet HaMikdash, beside lighting the menorah, they had to sacrifice animal. because there is korban tamid that they have to sacrifice in the morning, and then before sunset, during mincha time. And that the Hashmonaim have to dismantle the altar. Why? Because after all, the altar made from stone, avnei gazit, the gazit stone, and they couldn't use it anymore because it's become unkosher. So what did they done with it? They dismantled it, but they didn't throw it. The stone that they dismantled, they took it away and they put it in geniza. They have to put it in geniza because after all, you have to understand that originally they used the altar for kosher animal. They used to sacrifice to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Bet HaMikdash. So it was holy. It had kind of a kedusha on it. So they couldn't throw them away. They put them in geniza. So what did they done? They built a new altar. By while they dismantling the altar, they find a small jar of oil, Rabotai. That's the small jar that we're speaking all the time. That small jar was in a foundation of the altar that no Greek found it. No Greek knew about it because they wanted to contaminate everything. And that jar was sealed, and on top of it was a stamp of the Kohen Gadol, the holy priest, the highly priest. According to these two different opinions in a midrashim, which oil it was, because it was an ancient oil. According to one opinion, it was the oil from the time of the prophet Samuel. That means the Kohen Gadol in that time was Eliah Kohen. Another opinion that brought that oil was actually much more older. It was the oil that from Aaron Kohen. And he actually prepared it, and they given it and they took it to Eretz Israel. And when they built Bet HaMikdash, they knew what's going to happen in the Holy Spirit, and they put it under the altar and a foundation. So we have two ideas where is that olive oil came. Okay, now that we explained that, we can move on and understand what's happening. What's happened now, we're going to explain ways the menorah disappear. We have to look at what's happened in the in Midrash Rabbah tell us, and the Torah also tell us, that when Yaakov Avinu received the brachot from Yitzhak Avinu, and we explained that in the show on Parashat HaShavua, Yitzhak Avinu blessed who? Yitzhak Avinu blessed Yaakov. What did he say to him? He said to him that he smelled the field, okay, of Reach HaSadeh, the smell of the field. There we explained that it was another thing. Yitzhak Avinu saw that from the children of Yaakov Avinu will be people that they're going to be traitors. They're going to betray the Jewish religion. And one of them was a guy by the name of Yosef Mishita. Yosef Mishita, while the Greek was in power in Eretz Israel, he changed his religion. He became and he behaved like a Greek. He was a Moser. He told about the Jewish people. And he was very close to the Greek. And the Greek, in that time, Antiochus, the Caesar Antiochus, had a war in the south of Israel. That's mean north of Africa. And there you have a fight close to Egypt, and he lost the war with Talmai. Okay? And he lost also a lot of money. Not only that he lost the war, he lost a lot of money. Antiochus wanted to recover financially, and he decided that he's going to take golden vessel from where? From Bet HaMikdash. And with that, he's going to gold and silver, whatever vessel that it is, and that With that, he's gonna try to recoup the money that he lost in the war. Okay. But the Greek have a lot of fear to enter the Holy of Holiness, to enter the Echal. Where was the Holy of Holiness? Where was the Shulchan? Where was beside that the Ark? And where was the menorah? So they decide that they're going to ask Yosef Mishita, that converted to paganism, to enter the Holy of Holiness, and he's going to bring the vessel out, and that's how they're going to try to recoup for the financial loss. And they said to Yosef Mishita, listen, you're going to enter Bet HaMikdash, take the best vessel that you want, that's going to be yours, the first vessel. After that, whatever you bring out, it's going to belong to us. And Yosef Mishita agreed to it. Yosef Mishita, when he entered Bet HaMikdash, he saw the menorah. And he said, I'm going to take the menorah out. And the menorah going to be mine. I'm going to be a rich man because that cost iron, cost gold menorah. I'm going to be very rich. And that's what he done. And he managed to drag it until he brought it out. When the Greeks saw that, they said to him, listen, that's only for the Caesar. That can't be for you. Anyway, he was upset. They had an argument. He didn't, at the beginning, wanted to give it to them, but he didn't have a choice. If not, they're going to kill him. So they said to him, listen, that we take into our Caesar. Now you can go back, and we promise you whatever you're going to bring back now, you're taking out, it's going to be yours. He said to him, I'm not going to go again. He said, why? They asked him why. He said, listen, not enough that I upset the Almighty once. You want me to upset them second time? That's not going to happen. That will not happen. They said to him, they tried to convince him, and they spoke to him nicely. It didn't help. It just didn't help. Now become the second stage. They said to him, listen, if you're not going to go in, you're going to cut limb of your body until you're going to bring us gold and silver from Bet HaMikdash. And Yosef Mishita absolutely resists. And the Greeks start cutting limb of his body. And the Midrash say after every time that they cut part of his body, let's say the legs, he used to say, not enough that I make the Almighty cross one, you want me to make him cross? Again, I'm not going to do. And that's how they cut all of his limb until he died, Hazal say. They actually saw this body, the Midrash say, just for general understanding for the cruelty. And that's where the menorah disappeared. The menorah been taken from Bet HaMikdash. And that's why when the Hashmonaim enter Bet HaMikdash, they didn't find the menorah because the menorah already been taken. They decide they're going to make a menorah from wood, and immediately the carpenters that was there put the effort and build a menorah. In the meantime, until they're going to recoup financially and they'll have enough money and they can cost the gold to make a menorah that's supposed to be in Bet HaMikdash. So the menorah that they lit, the miracle of the menorah was with a wooden menorah. Not many people know about it. But the Midrash asks something very interesting, and listen to that. I don't understand. Yosef Mishita, he converted to paganism. He followed the Greek, that the philosophy was the body. It was all about the physicality. What made him suddenly, after he took the golden menorah, not to take any other vessel? He can become rich if he take other vessel. The Mefarshim explained something extraordinary. He said that by that he entered Bet HaMikdash, and he entered where usually the Kohanim and the Leviim there, usually the Kohanim, that Holy Spirit affected him and influenced him, and he realized what he'd done, and he decided to do atonement for all of his sins. That means that Bet HaMikdash had a special power that whoever used to enter can be influenced to worship the Almighty. And that's what happened with Yosef Meshita. Now, until now, we explained the history. Now we're going, what's hiding behind the secret of the litten, the light of the menorah. The mystical Rabbi, Hachmei Asod, explained to us that when you light the menorah, you should sit in the front of the menorah and look at the light of the menorah for half an hour. What's hiding behind it? What's the secret behind it? Said the mystical Rabbi that, and that light have a special light that was from the sixth day of the creation. What is it? When HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, at the first 36 hours, Hazal in the Gemara, in Masechet Brachot, in the Yerushalmi, Perek Het, Halacha Vav, if I'm not mistaken, Hazal says something very interesting. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a special light that's called the hidden light. What is that light? What's so special about it? It's like a Holy Spirit that people can see what's happening in the world. Although that they maybe can live in diaspora, they know what's happening in Eretz Israel. Or if they live in South Africa, they know what's happening in Eretz Israel, what's happening in America. It was kind of a Holy Spirit that's kind of a light. Light is kind of an energy for us to understand. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw that will be wicked people. And those wicked people will use that light, that energy, in a negative way. Therefore, he took it. What do you mean he took it? He took that energy and he put it and he kept it hidden. Only 36 tzaddikim can know about it. That's Gemara in Masechet Sukkah, in Nun Hey Amud Aleph. That means 55, folio 1. Say the mystical Rabbi, but that special energy that is the prosperity can help a person for prosperity in physically and spiritually, coming in 8 days a year for half an hour when we're lighting the menorah. And Hazal tell us that when we're sitting in the front of the menorah and we're looking at it, if people need health, wealth, any problem that they have, people battling to have kids, people have a problem of lo alenu refuah, people that need any physical and spiritual thing, they can daven in the front of the light of the menorah, and there's good chance that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will show them a salvation. Why? Because that hidden light, okay, coming down 8 days a year in Chanukah. So how do we know that in the menorah, the light of the menorah, hiding there, those hidden light? Where's the source to? So I saw it in a book that's called Imre Noam. That's where I saw it. I'm sure that there's many other sources. And he bringing it on the name Rabbi Tzvi Elimelech Medinov. He born in Galicia 240 years ago. Also, he bring it by the name of the Rokeach. Rokeach is a book. It's in the name of Rabbi Eliezer Migermiza. Rabbi Eliezer Migermiza, born in the city of Minsk. Minsk is a city in Germany, born around 847 years ago. And both of them say that they received from Eliyahu Navi, from Elijah, that told them that in the light of the candles of Chanukah, people can achieve that hidden light that HaKadosh Baruch Hu kept for the tzaddikim. And we can get it only 8 days a year, the person can receive it. But you have to sit in front of the menorah and focus. He say, how do we know that the hidden light there. He said like this. He said something very interesting. How many candles we light during Hanukkah without the shamash? Rabotai, without the shamash, I'm going to make it easier for you. It's 36. 36 candles we light. Because every day we light 8 candles. The first night 1. The second night we light 2. Okay? So that's already 3. Okay? And etc. We light 36 candles. How many hours the hidden light was lit in the first day of the creation? For 36 hours. Said that Eliyahu Navi explained to him that in a merit of the 36 candles that we light in Hanukkah, there is that special light, that special energy, that whatever we're going to ask, if we ask properly, we can receive it. There's a good chance that we receive it. That a person can see salvation the same like the Hashmonaim, the Jewish people, saw during the time of the Greeks. So we see here that when a person needs a spiritual thing, physical thing, people battling, let's say, with health, people battling with the parnasa, people need wisdom to understand the Torah. People know that a couple doesn't have kids. They're battling to have kids. Daven for them. Okay. A person needs a zivug to daven in the front of that light. People, we need peace in the world, like we need now. We need a salvation for what's happening in Eretz Israel, for what's happening in all over the world with anti-Semitism. We should daven in the front of the kingdom. Another idea that brought the Rabbi Tzvi Elimelech Mimidino, by the way, he wrote a book, Bnei Yissaschar. Bnei Yissaschar is a famous book. I'm sure that most of you heard about it. He said that if you take the word Kislev, Kislev is the month that we lit the candles on that month. He said, take the word Kislev and split it to 2. You get the word Kesh and Lev. Kesh, it means hidden. Lev, Kila Kislev, it's Lamed and Vav. It's 36. He said, come and I'll tell you the secret here. He said, in the name of the man Kislev, there is already the answer for the secret. The 36 is awards the 36 candle, awards the 36 hours that special light was being lit on the first day of the creation. Kes, it's Milshon Kisui, hidden. That means that hidden light can be found on a 36 candle that you're going to light in Hanukkah. That means that kind of power, of energy, of salvation can be found only on a candle of Hanukkah. That's how explained Rabbi Tzvi Elimelech Medina. We have to understand, we explained that Hazal in a Gemara in Masechet Sukkah in page 45, no? Yeah, 45, folio 2. 45, folio 2. Hazal says something very interesting. Hazal tell us in every generation, there is 36 tzaddikim. These 36 tzaddikim that they never been revealed themselves. HaKadosh Baruch Hu never revealed them. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually revealed to those 36 tzaddikim, he given them this kind of a Holy Spirit that they know what's happening in the world. That this kind of power, this kind of energy, that they can see what's happening in the world. Now we have to ask ourselves and ask many of them a question. How can we, when we're sitting and looking at the menorah, we can receive that kind of power? We can receive that kind of energy. I saw a beautiful answer that brought in the name of the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Israel ben Eliezer, that was his father. Some people call him Rabbi Eliezer ben Sarah, because his mother was Sarah. Okay, he born around 308 years ago. Okay, in Galicia. Some people say in Galicia. And he says something extraordinary. And he tells us, according to the Gemara in Masechet Sukkah, in page 12, folio 1, he said that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu took that hidden light, where did he hidden that energy? He hidden it in the Torah. He said when a person learning Torah with purity and holiness, he merit to receive that hidden light. That means he can receive that special energy from the Torah. So now we can understand what's hiding behind the light of the menorah. And why is the mystical Rabbi put a lot of emphasis on that the person, after he light the menorah, he should sit and look at those candles that he lit in, the Chanukah, because he can draw from it, he can absorb from it special energy. And what's so special about it? Now, Rabotai, I have to explain that that energy, it's not just people going to receive it. We have to dive into HaKadosh Baruch Hu to ask the Almighty to help us to receive it. That energy going to come in us. In that energy, because the time of Hanukkah is a time of salvation, that's where the energy comes, that when we dive into HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we can see a miracle. In Parashat Miketz, that we're going to read this coming Shabbos, Be'ezrat Hashem, speaking about Yosef HaTzadik coming out of the pit. Be'ezrat Hashem, we know that the Torah tells us that whatever we read in Parashat HaShavua, that's what's going to happen. So Be'ezrat Hashem, that we should see the release of the hostages. The same like it's Yosef HaTzadik been released from captivity, from the pit, he'd been taken out of the pit, and then he became a king. Be'ezrat Hashem, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gonna release those hostages and bring them back to their family, healthy, Be'ezrat Hashem, well, Be'ezrat Hashem. That's what we should have. But one of the things that I wanted, before I'm gonna continue to the next part of the show, that when we're sitting and we're looking at the candle, one of the most important things that we should all ask, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gonna send Mashiach. Why? Because if HaKadosh Baruch Hu gonna send Mashiach, the Mashiach gonna rectify the world. The Mashiach have a power that when he gonna speak, he gonna show everyone where there was wrong. And people, the nation, all the people from all the nation gonna chosen to become their prime minister, their president. The Mashiach job is going to be the president of the nation. And when he comes, he's not going to be in charge only about the Jewish people. At the beginning, going to be in charge about the Jewish people. But later on, he's going to be in charge about all the nation in the world. The Jewish people going to be looked after directly by the Almighty. So when we're sitting in the front of the candles of the Chanukah, when we see the light, the flame, we should focus and we should ask for whatever we want. And Be'ezrat Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will grant. But we have to remember that we have to ask for Mashiach, that the glory of the Almighty is going to be spread all over the world, and then everyone going to know. I would like to go now to the second part of the show and to show the power that's hiding behind lighting a menorah in Hanukkah. And the next story that I'm going to tell, it's a true story that happened in Eretz Israel. It was a family by the name, the surname was Spitzer. And the husband and the wife, for many, many years, battled to have kids. And they gone from rabbis, they gone to doctors, they spend money. You know, the women have a lot of treatment. until one day she fell pregnant after many years. But she didn't have one kid. She didn't have two kids. She didn't have three. She had 5 kids, all in one shot. HaKadosh Baruch Hu paid her all in one shot. She had 5 kids. Obviously, you understand that it's not just one dummy. It's not just one frame. Suddenly we're talking about 5 frame. We're talking about 15 dummies because you have to have spare dummy. You have to have at least 5 or 10 formula for those kids. And the expense become very, very high. And then they spend most of their money on treatment that the women have to have. So financially, they was broke. And people organized for them and they fundraised for them. And came a woman from the States by the name of Mrs. Gordon. That's the name. They don't tell the name more than that. And Mrs. Gordon heard the story and it touched her. And she says she's going to support that family, that the surname is Spitzer. And every month, she put in the account a couple good $1,000 every month to support them. And that helped a lot. But Mrs. Gordon was excited that she managed to do a merit. And she also wanted to see who she support, number one. Number two, she heard about the 5 kids, but she never saw them. And she wanted to see them. So Mrs. Gordon wrote to Mrs. Spitzer, and she said to listen, I'm planning to come on that day to Israel. And I would like to come and visit you, to meet with your husband. And I would like to meet also those little kids that grown up in the meantime. Because obviously Mrs. Gordon was supporting her for at least a year or 2, if not more. And they organized the meeting and the dates. And Mrs. Gordon arrived. And she knocked on the door. And Mrs. Spitzer opened for her. And obviously, you know, the kissing, the hugging, and the tumult. Mrs. Gordon started walking into the house, and suddenly she saw a picture on a wall. She looked at it, and suddenly she started to feel dizzy, and she fainted. They call it Shala. All of that meeting, instead of being such a beautiful meeting, then to a bit of a chaos. Hatchala came, they took her to the hospital. Anyway, after a few hours, they check her blood. Anyway, the following morning, Mrs. Spitzer decides she's going to the hospital to meet with Mrs. Gordon to see how she is. And that's what she done. And when she gone to the hospital, the first thing that Mrs. Gordon asked Mrs. Spitzer, tell me, the picture on your wall, who's that picture? She said, that's my mom. She said, that's your mom. Say, yeah. She said, sit next to me. I want to tell you a story. You say, you remember yesterday I fainted? Do you know why I fainted? When I look at the picture, it took me back 70 years back. I was a young teenager. Mrs. Spitzer doesn't understand. She never knew about it. She's sitting. And she said, let me tell you what's happened. I was in a concentration camp in Germany. And that concentration camp called Bergen-Belsen. And it was 5 of us, 5 teenager girls between the age of 14 to 16, we all was. And we decided that this year we're going to celebrate Chanukah. But how are we going to make it? We decided months before that every day we're going to keep from the little bit of margarine that they give us, we're going to put it aside, and that's going to be the oil for the menorah. The twig to light the menorah, we tear it from our clothes. We tear a few strings. But we have one problem. We didn't have a vessel to hold the march, that because it's going to melt, it's going to be like oil. So one of the girls came with the idea that we should use the shell of the potatoes. After they peel the potatoes, we put it together and we can use it, and we can put the march and we can put the twig inside and we can light the menorah. And that was a great idea. But the problem was, how are we going to get the peels of the potatoes? It's not so simple. So we start watching how does it work in a kitchen, and we realized that at exactly at midnight, between 12 until 12 and 5 minutes, 12:05, there is a time when the duty change and there's no guard to watch the kitchen. And on the first night of Chanukah, we decide that that's it. We're gonna go quick. In 5 minutes, we're gonna steal those peels of potatoes, between the shell of the potatoes, and we're gonna light the Chanukah. And exactly at midnight, when the guards left, the one duty guard left, we ran in to take those shell of potatoes. But we've been caught, 5 of us been caught. And our court gonna be tomorrow morning. And we didn't know what to do, because we knew that the punishment of stealing from the kitchen is the punishment of death. There's no question about it. What should we do? What should we do? And we knew that in a camp, there is a girl, a Jewish girl, that she had a full cabin for herself. Why? Because she spoke quite a bit of languages. And she used to interpret it to the German, what she can hear on the news and what she can hear on the radios, so the intelligent can understand what's happening in every country. And she used to live in a side by herself, and she had quite a bit of privilege, that privacy and different things. And we decide that because she's very in touch with the officers, especially with the head of the camp, the officer that's in charge about the camp, let's ask her to speak to them that they're not going to kill us. What can we lose? At 3 o'clock in the morning, that morning, they decide that they're going to her cabin. When they go into her cabin, quietly, they manage to sneak. They knock on the door, no one answering. They look through the little kuch that there is there, no one's there, it's dark. They've gone around, they can't see anything, they're knocking, no one there, they couldn't knock very hard. But suddenly one of the girls say, listen, shush, quiet, I can hear a noise. And they hear silently a sound of mouse too. Immediately they follow the sound of that they hear, and they see that in the corner of the camp, by the forest, right next to the forest, that girl sitting and singing Maus too and lighting the first candle of Chanukah. They approached her. She was first of all very shocked, because if she'd been found by the German, by the Nazi, they will kill her. And the 5 girls, the teenager girls, approached her and they tell her the story. Please, 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 please beg to the officer of the camp. She chased them away. She told them, go away. Go now to your camp. Go. I don't want to see you. The girls gone to their camp, and they couldn't sleep all night because in the morning they're going to be hanged. And the rumor in the morning was that at 10 o'clock, everyone to come to the center of the camp. Everyone gather in the center of the camp, and the next thing that they see, those 5 teenage girls standing on an alley. They're going to be hanged. They put already the rope around their neck, and the next thing suddenly they see that girl, that Jewish girl, that they're going to ask her, please save us, running and walking to the gallows. And they saw suddenly standing in the front of the officer of the camp just before they're ready to hang them, and she's speaking to him. They didn't hear what she said to him, but they saw that the officer of the camp was angry, and he makes strange move with his hand, and his face was red. And then he given the command not to hang them, release them. And after that, they're obviously being punished, the same like anyone else, but they survive. That's the story end. He says, Mrs. Gordon said to Mrs. Spitzer, for many years, I'm looking for that girl. When I walked to your house and I saw the picture, I remember your mother's face when she chased us away that night. And I remember when she stood in the front of the officer of the camp and she argued with him. I don't remember what she said, and I didn't hear what she said. But she saved my life. And now I understand why I supported you. Mrs. Spitzer was surprised, but she said to her, I have to tell you something else. The night before I delivered those 5 kids, her late mother appeared to her in a dream. And she said to her, 5 awards 5. She said, I always understand, because I knew in the ultrasound, the doctor tell us that we have 5 kids. I have 5 kids that I'm going to deliver. So that was 5 awards 5. I couldn't understand. He said, now that you told me the story, that I have 5 kids, that in the merits that the 5 girls that she said, 5 and a merit of 5. Rabotai, what's hiding behind it? What's the moral of the story? The moral of the story, when people put effort to lie, to do a mitzvah, Akadosh Baruch Hu pay him back. Mrs. Spitzer's mother saved those 5 girls that put their life in danger because they wanted to light the candle. Mrs. Spitzer couldn't have kids, but the merit that those 5 kids, teenager girl, saved, that she saved them, she merited to receive 5 grandchildren. Don't know if she saw them or not, that I don't know. But what does it come to teach us? That Chanukah is a month, it's a time of miracle. It's a time of salvation. It's a time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu chase the darkness. In that 8 days, we can bring a lot of light to the world. And Rabotai, if you see what's happening, the unity that there is in Israel. Nachon that we gone horrific time. We don't know Heshbonot Shaman, but one thing I know, that when you hear the soldiers speaking, and I heard quite a lot of interview with the soldiers and with officers that in Gaza, They say, we're not going to return home until we bring in the hostages back. We don't care what's going to happen. We have one mission. We want to bring the hostages back. We want to take revenge, and we want to make sure that this thing's not going to happen again in the south from the Hamas. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we see the miracle that we're having, everyday miracle, nachon, that we're suffering. We have a lot of casualty. And every soul, you can't imagine what is it worse in Jewish. But we don't know Heshbonot Shamayim. We have to be very optimistic. We have to be very strong in our emunah. Because before the Mashiach come, Hazal said, one of the tests that we're going to have is emunah. Very difficult to understand. On Friday night, when I was in shul, a good friend of mine came and said to me, you know, Rabbi, I don't sleep at night. I said, why you don't sleep at night? He said, I wake up in the middle of the night and thinking, what's happening in a war? Did they find the hostages? They didn't find. Do we have more casualty? I have to give him a string. But I tell you the truth, I feel the same. Sometimes my eyes open at 3 o'clock in the morning because I'm thinking too much about what's happening with our brothers, what's happening with our sisters. I have a son in Israeli Defense Force at the moment. He just joined 4 or 5 months ago. I want to tell you that there's no day by that we're not communicating. Thanks God to the new telecommunication. Thanks God. I can't imagine how those parents feel or how those wives feel for the husband that in Gaza or by the north. It's beyond understanding. But I have to be strong and to tell this friend of mine that you don't have to worry. Everything in the hand of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Nachon, everything is in the hand of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But they need our tefillot. They need our praise. They need our tehillim. And this time, Hag Chanukah, it's a time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu show us salvation. And Be'ezrat Hashem, He will show us great salvation soon. But we have to daven, we have to pray. And when we sit, now that we know the secret behind the light of the candle of Hanukkah, so when we sit in the front of the menorah, in the front of the Hanukkah, and we davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we asking for personal thing, physical thing, spiritual thing. We mustn't forget our brothers, our sisters, that they are in the north, in the south, all the member of the Israeli Defense Force, all the member of the security forces, if it's the police, the secret agent in Israel, every Jew all over the world, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will protect them and guard them, and protect and guard us here also in South Africa. Remember that we're standing and davening when you're sitting in the front of the candle. And that's the secret and the power and the energy behind those lights. And we have them 8 days a year for half an hour from the moment that we light the candle for half an hour. It's a special time that we can draw special energy in our terms, in our language, that the Mekubalim call it organuz, the hidden light. What we can benefit from the light of the Hanukkah for the first half an hour for the 8 days of Hanukkah. So Be'ezrat Hashem, we left with another 4 that we can focus on it. We can daven for the health of those that need help, those that need peace, those that you know that they need physical thing, whatever they need, if it's prosperity, if they need parnasa, those that need shidduchim, that they should have shidduchim, those that battling to have kids, that they should have kids. And the most important thing, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will send us speedily in our day, Mashiach Tzidkenu, when we see the building of the third Bet HaMikdash in our day. Amen Ken Yeh Ratzon. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. I really appreciate everyone for joining us tonight. I hope that you enjoyed the show. If there is any question, you can ask regarding Chanukah. Bechavod. No question. Okay, Rabotai. In that case, I know that it's 9:30. I've tried to stick exactly to the hour on a dot. I would like to wish all of you Chanukah Sameach, to you, to your family, to everyone, to every Jew. Let's spread the word. Banu Hoshech legaresh. We came to remove the darkness, to chase away the darkness. Beyadenu or va'esh. In our hand, there is light and fire. That's our mission, to bring light to the world. Rabotai, thank you for joining us. I would like to wish all of you Chanukah Sameach. I hope that you enjoyed the show. To wish you all Shavua Tov, a good week ahead of us. Have a good night, everyone. Good night.